Hello everyone, welcome back to the Talos Principle Reawakened. Last time we did the last of the World C puzzles, and today we're going into the tower. But first, I'm actually going to hop into the first star world just to see if there's dev dialogue.
The Talos Principle required really extensive testing.
I already did that one. So one thought that came to mind after finishing last episode was the dialogue Jonas had about love being a chemical reaction. He's like, oh, but like that's not a bad thing. And I don't disagree necessarily, but I think that he might have fallen victim to a framing effect. You know, there's a criticism against materialism that's like, oh, so love is just a chemical reaction? And he kind of is just like, yeah, it is. But I would disagree, because, I mean, the feeling could be described as a chemical reaction, but love is a lot more than the feeling, you know? Love is the things you do with each other. It is the memories you make together, the picnics you go on, the movies you see together. You know, you can be in a fight with someone you love and feel anger toward them in that moment, but you still love them. And here we go. So, yeah, I would not say that love is a chemical reaction, because there's more to it than that. You know, even if you consider feelings to be chemical reactions, which materially they are, you know, that's not all that it is. And so that's just something you got to watch out for. The framing effect is going to get you. That was even mentioned in the DLC. Yeah, framing effect is where you talk about an idea where it sounds like this is not going to work. It sounds like you're just talking about facts, but you say it in a way that presupposes a specific answer. Or like, it's kind of like baiting the other person into a specific answer, even if they don't necessarily agree with it, just by the way that you talk about it. I freaking hate these puzzles. I'm glad they took them out of the second game. That's not gonna work. Wait, is this? Nope, that's wrong. Well, here we are gonna be here for 10 minutes. Let's see. Well, since Tom mentioned the S word last time, I can say it a little bit more comfortably. In my private life, I describe myself as openly socialist. However, I don't think I have explicitly mentioned it on this channel. And like, well, one thing is like, this isn't a political channel, right? It's a playing games channel. It's a fun channel. That's not gonna work. Talking about, you know, especially in the United States where I live, you know, socialism is like coming out as a socialist is like coming out as like an atheist or as gay or trans. It's like a big deal. Like you're stuck in the closet. Like it's hard to talk about. In my IRL community, it is better than that. Seem to be a lot of people who are at least happy to talk about the ideas. So the question is, what do I mean by socialist? Do I want to send people to the gulag? Absolutely not. No, the gulags were evil. Never, ever, ever. Oh, what am I doing? I hate these puzzles. Oh, this square is no good. So yeah, what do I mean by socialism? Well, to me, it's an opposition to capitalism, which, as I see it, capitalism is the system that we have now. There are many forms of capitalism, but essentially, capitalism is an economic system based on competition and maximization of money, maximization of profit and monetary transactions. Please! This puzzle. Switching this to there is not gonna help. I hate these puzzles. I don't think this is correct. So then socialism is in contrast to that. Socialism is a system where the goal is not to maximize profit, it is to maximize human well-being. You know, it's about community, it's about what we can do to make our lives better, to get food on the table, all those things. Could it be? Could it be? Have I done it? I've done it! Yeah, and so like, but is that socialism or is that humanism? Well, yeah, it is also humanism. And so why do I call myself socialist rather than just humanist? There's no devlogs here. Not that I can see. I'll look around a little bit. You know, and I think that humanism is a bit softer, whereas socialism wants to make changes to the structure of society, right? You know, if you've been around my channel, you know that I am all for making changes to society. I want to improve society. There's a concept I learned in my industrial engineering class called continuous improvement. And it's part of business culture, or factory culture. Oh, shall I do this? Yeah, we'll do this. It's part of factory culture and business culture in general that you always want to be analyzing to continuously make small improvements. And it's generally applied to increasing profit, but the same idea can be applied to whatever goal you have. So I want to continuously improve my own life, and more broadly on the level of the nation, I want to continuously improve the nation to create spaces, ideally a whole nation or an entire world, that is continuously being better and better for people. You know, greater human flourishing, and not as a side effect as the narrative goes, capitalism does, but as the main goal, right? Like our main goal should be to improve the world for humanity. And for other non-human species. You know, we can have discussions about this. Obviously, I'm just one guy. I don't know what all the answers are. But yeah, you know, humans, people over profits, and we should make structural changes to society, to business culture, to government, to the law, to education, to our personal lives, to working culture, you know, all the places where these things have effects and manifest, we should be changing. We should be improving. And so that's why I call myself a socialist. And there's a million dimensions of this. I could write books about it. I am one of the main cultures in my sci-fi novel is a global democratic socialist nation where it's kind of like Star Trek, except I do go a bit more into the economics than Star Trek. Yeah, and for me, the biggest question is not really like what do I think the world should be, it is what can I do in my own life as an individual with the people around me. And the answer to that is I'm really good at physics, so I have a job as a physics professor and a physics tutor. I should be the world's best physics professor and physics tutor. No, that's not the right way to say it. I should be the best physics professor and physics tutor I possibly can, because I am providing a service to students who need it. And I am making their lives better by doing good work. And that is meaningful to me. You know, and then in my social life, and in my family, and everywhere I have an opportunity, it's like, yeah, I'll live to put people first, because people are what matters. Anyway, welcome to the Talos Principle. From Alexandra Drennan. Have you heard of the Talos Principle? It's an old video game. I mean, a philosophical concept about the impossibility of avoiding reality. No matter what you believe, if you lose your blood, you will die. I think that applies to our situation more than we'd like to admit. We could close our eyes and pretend that everything's going to be alright, but it won't change the physical reality of what's going to happen to our... I think that as scientists, it's our duty to face the truth and to ask ourselves the most important question. How can we help? Yeah, my personal view is not that reality is material reality, but reality is power. And material reality is a type of power. Okay, what do I mean by power? I mean what causes things to happen. What drives cause and effect, you know? And losing your blood and dying is one example of this, right? You know, you're not going to believe yourself to continue living and succeed even if you bleed out. No, if you bleed out, you're going to die. But also, if you think you're going to single-handedly reform the legal system by getting a law degree and then going toe-to-toe with all of the lawyers who disagree ideologically with you, you're also not, that's also not going to work. And there's no material there preventing you from doing that, but it's still reality, right? So there's things about reality that aren't easily described as material. I mean, we could talk about the material things of people's brains, and hypothetically, if we had perfect descriptions of all the quantum mechanical particles in the universe, we could describe even abstract stuff as material. But that's really hard, right? We have immaterial language for a reason. It's because it's easier to talk about things that way. Anyway, long story short, I am less of a materialist than Jonas. Not necessarily because I believe that there are things more foundational than materialism. Well, I mean, on that note, quantum physics is not... even if you use the Schrödinger equation and think about it perfectly mathematically, it's still much less material than the materialism we think about. But yeah, I guess I would say I'm like post-materialist. Let's put it that way. I'm not superstitious, I'm not supernaturalist, but I don't think materialism is satisfactory, and I've moved beyond it. Human blood, the wine of vampires. It is said by some that our blood is composed of infinite living agents which go up and down the highways and byways of our bodies as people in the streets of a city. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abide forever. And the sleep of the town, how lifelike! with its change in the circulation. Samuel Butler. We are misled by considering any complicated machine as a single thing. In truth, it is a city or society, each member of which was bred truly after its kind. Yeah, and then Stratton had a line of this in Talos Principle 2, where he talked about man being a machine and then being like, okay, well, a city is like similar in a whole bunch of ways, so a city is also a machine. And you can think of it the other way as well, you know. Yeah, we've got red blood, we've got blood cells in our blood. They're kind of like life forms, even though they're our DNA, so they count as us, but they are free floating inside of us. And so, like, if you think about, you know, all of our cells make us up, but our cells are also individual. And then our brains, you know, our brains are where our consciousness is, but our brains are divided in two. We have two hemispheres. And so, the more you think about it, the more the idea of a distinct individual that's a unit with defined boundaries, like, you know, it's the brain, and then like everything outside the brain is not you, or like everything outside your body is not you, but like if you cut off a finger, that finger is no longer you. Yeah, the more that idea, at least to me, I should say to me, like, I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm forcing my beliefs and values on any of you. That's just kind of how it's gonna have to come across, because I'm talking at myself without any feedback to the screen. But yeah. The individual, you know, what am I saying? What am I saying? I'm not saying individuals don't exist, but I'm saying the individual is not as baked into the fabric of reality as we like to tend to think it is. It is, there's a bit more social construction than we might like to think about our individual identities. Archive, important! I'll keep this short. You all know me, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. I realize that you're all working on projects meant to somehow avert the catastrophe we're all facing, but you must all concede that there is a very real possibility you will not have enough time to find a solution. I believe that we cannot afford to ignore an extinction or near-extinction scenario. We must prepare for the worst. That is to say, we must seek to preserve the non-biological components of what constitutes the human species, in the hope that they may be recovered in the future by local or non-local sentience. Oh wait, there's more. Didn't see the scroll bar. I know that we are not used to thinking on that scale, not in terms of praxis, but if we truly value humanity, then we must act immediately. You'll find the details of my proposal in the attachment, but the short version is this: the creation of multiple archives for redundancy in safe locations that will contain in digital form as much information about our species, including all cultural works, scientific insights, history, DNA, as can be gathered in the given time frame. This will be massive, global undertaking, with L naturally being one of the nodes. This sets up the idea that there's more simulations. I was hoping, when I started playing Talos 2, I was hoping that we would find other robots from other simulations, and then have to contend with competing and collaborating societies. You know, as I've said many times, I feel like that's a dimension that was missing from the Talos Principle 2, and kind of important to that discussion. But I am happy with the story that they have. You know, the more distance I have from it, the fonder I am. And I'm sure I would just gush over it if I were to play it again. Tower image. Huh. Wonder why that's there canonically. Exegetically? Is that the word? Within the text of the game? Oh, the first time I learned fancy words like exegesis and hermeneutics was in religious contexts of people trying to accurately interpret the Bible. Specifically of a textbook authority trying to tell me what to believe. Here we go, into the tower. And let me check if I'm recording because I'm paranoid. Yes, okay. This must be the tower we were warned about. Seems the upper levels are locked tight. Elohim is taking no chances that we stray from his path. That's sheep, so sheep made it in here. The shepherd. On returning from the tower, I feel a great tiredness and an enormous energy. What I now know disturbs me, but I hope that by living with this knowledge I might provide a shoulder for you, the giants of tomorrow. The shepherd went up and came down again, rather than leave. The view from the top must be incredible? So I think the implication is that sheep went to the top and became shepherd. I think at least one other Let's Play that I watched mentioned that. There's also a star out here we could get. The voice keeps speaking to me. I can't get it out of my head. It's wrong. It's all wrong. Listen to me very carefully. I've climbed this tower and no good has come of it. This world is the only world. Elohim's will continues eternal and paradise is banishing all of this from your mind. All who say they made it to the top are blatantly lying, or they would say what's there. I don't... we can bust this and get a laser. That's right. Alright, let's just go into the tower. Let's make our way to the top.
The tower in Nexus symbolizes the forbidden tree from the Garden of Eden. It is incredibly high and it's kind of mysterious, and its presence actually creates a feeling of temptation and the forbidden knowledge.
Absolutely.
So the act of climbing the Nexus, when Elohim, told you not to do that, it actually mirrors eating the forbidden fruit. A bold act that brings enlightenment, but also consequences. This symbolism encourages players to question authority, maybe to challenge actually the rules, and decide whether to seek the knowledge or not, even if it comes with the risks. This is actually the pure heart of the game. This dilemma is the heart of the Talos Principle.
Yeah, and it was very clear to me the moment I first heard Elohim talking about the tower. I was like, I know what this is.
Primary subject.
Oh.
Query.
Oh. Breaking down and acting like a program.
Is there anything that we associate more closely with intelligence than curiosity? Every intelligent species on Earth is attracted by the unknown. Our mythologies are full of riddles and mysteries and divine knowledge. Even the word apocalypse means revelation.
True.
It seems like our ancestors always imagined that even at the very end, we would solve one last mystery.
Yeah, Apocalypse meaning Revelation, those are both names of the final book in the Bible where the prophet / disciple John receives a vision of the end of the world and, the 7 bowls of judgment and 7 plagues or whatever, and etc. I remember this. Oh, not that one. Gotta go like this. So that's never broken. I forgot the music in here. Alright, we still get more stuff. Yeah. I mean, this is ludonarrative at its finest. This is gameplay telling the story in a way that affects the player. You know, you just feel it, like you're making a choice being here. Truth. Do not believe what they are saying. This is not the end of the world created by our Lord God in 6 days. This is a conspiracy of the government, Illuminati, and an international Darwinism. This is global warming 2.0, a lie told by the children of Beelzebub. Why would you misspell Beelzebub? I mean, if you know the name, you probably read it in the Bible. Do not let them take your liberty. Exodus 21:24. I think I read this my first time around and it's just a random verse that doesn't mean anything. Defend yourself against all vaccines, experiments, artificial medicines, and potpourri. Yeah. Oh, all of the conspiracies at once. Human reproduction. Surely, if a machine is able to reproduce another machine systematically, we may say that it has a reproductive system. And how few of the machines are there which have not been produced systematically by other machines? But it is not man, but is it not man that makes them do so? Yes, but is it not insects that make many of the plants reproductive? And would not the whole families of plants die out if their fertilization was not affected by a class of agents utterly foreign to themselves? Each one of ourselves has sprung from minute animalcules whose entity was entirely distinct from our own, and which acted after their kind with no thought or heed of what we might think about it. These little creatures are part of our own reproductive system, then why not we part of that of the machines? Well, we are. Now, it is kind of interpretation, right? And they're saying, let's consider this as a valid interpretation because people just didn't think that way. Yeah, because interpretations have power. You know, interpretations shape how we think about stuff. Athena chapters. Okay, it's just the table of contents. All right. Yeah, so the truth thing, I mean, that's the thing, right? Truth exists, but just because you... wait, did I unlock the elevator? Truth exists, but just because you say you value truth doesn't mean you're right. So current operating with floor access control. Floor to reconfigure. We are on 1, right? Yeah, unlock it? Yes. Alright, I don't think we can unlock any other floors from here. Protected with a code, okay. Alright, so we have to find the code in the next one, I guess. You know, that's another thing. You know, speaking of truth exists, but most people are it's quite possible to be wrong. You know, and then oftentimes people who are very vocal about being pro-truth are the ones who are the most stubborn in their ways of thought. I once had a thought about what if there is true objective morality, and part of that is that it's wrong to impose it on other people. You know, like what if part of morality is that you must allow others to figure it out for themselves? You know, and then what do I say about that? You know, what do I think about that, and what do I say about that? Because it's like, you know, that's not proof, obviously, but then if it is true, then like I can't tell you to believe it, right? But that's kind of somewhat of my moral like an addendum, a fun idea attached to my moral philosophy. Not necessarily like I will say things that I'm like, oh, this is obviously right. I won't say obviously. This is right. This is wrong. But also, you know, morality is a messy thing. So, you know, like Tom said, I think it is something that we all have to choose for ourselves, and if we get our morality from some outside authority, I mean, we have to for a while as kids because we don't know any better, but eventually we got to get to a point where we develop our moral sense on our own. Develop and discover morality on our own. Seems ELOHIM lacks the power to stop me from climbing this thing. No doubt he still has some tricks up his sleeve. Well, that's another thing, like, we have the idea of what should we do? There's also the question of who's gonna stop us. Oh my goodness, don't do this to me! It's not right. Oh, almost. Gah! That's a Klingon delicacy, by the way. Oh, so close. Ah. I'm sure I have tons and tons of philosophy that I haven't talked about that I could. None of it's coming to mind. Plenty of things to talk about. That's the thing, you know, you always have a million things you want to talk about. These are all the same way. Try putting I don't know. Oh, that has to go the other way if we do that. Did we do it? I think we did it. Yeah, it's like, I keep thinking outside of playthroughs. Does it switch? Can't press it. No. Every day, I think of dozens of things I could talk about. And then when I'm in the game, I'm like, oh yeah, I got nothing to talk about. So, you know, since I've started paying attention to stories, and this is something I've been doing since I started watching VTuber clips. Yeah, that's another thing that it's like, do I want to reveal to my audience that I watch VTuber clips? But I mean, just be yourself and be confident about it, right? The people who do that are they have stories, you know. People get on Twitch and then they talk in an anime avatar and they just talk about stuff that's been happening. They talk for hours, right? And they have stories, and you can tell that when things happen to them, they're like, oh, this would be great for my channel. And then they think about what happened to them and how to tell it in an entertaining way. And then they can just talk like that for hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, you know what? I can remember things in my life. So I can, especially in my Celeste playthrough, Spring Collab, I've been talking about like my car troubles and you know, after the fact, you know, not being like, oh, woe is me, but like this was a thing that I went through and I overcame. You know, and the guy who was riding his bicycle the wrong way on the road, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's got to be terrifying. You know, and I've started looking for things like that and noticing things like that, and so it's good practice. I'm becoming more of an entertainer.
My best friend died today.
Oh, that was a
abstract,
sharp
death
turn.
Is nothing, of course. An insignificant blip in a sea of billions. But the world is not abstract. Reality is always specific, painfully so. And that one specific human being who existed only once in all of the infinity of time and space, that human being was my friend. But he's not coming back, no matter how much I want him to. So, all I can do in the end is keep working, because that specificity, that uniqueness of people, of real people, is worth preserving.
Yeah, and you can't try to think of important things as with cosmic significance, right? Because the meaning of people is not to the cosmos. The meaning of people is to their friends, to the people around them, right? So if someone close to you dies, that matters. That objectively matters. That subjectively matters, and therefore it matters. And that is as much as it needs to be. You know, that is the meaning. What am I doing here? I need to get on top of there. And I see how to do it, I think. Can I take this up here and place it in there? I can, awesome. I am also kind of remembering from before. There we go. Blow me on here. Get me up here. Take this out here. No! That is not what I intended to do. What did you hurt? Go in there. Could maybe make that work a little better in this version. I think it worked better in the original. Although I don't know if they changed the engine or if they just changed the graphics. All right, now we need to. I can't take this while I'm standing on it. I guess that makes sense. Now we need to put it in here. And then I don't remember why we need those in there. Because we need to get up top, right? Which suggests we need to be standing on here, but have those boxes in there. But we can't drop the boxes underneath ourselves, which is a problem. Right, that pushes us off. Blonk. You know, that's another thing that I never understood, was the argument that if something doesn't matter for eternity, then it doesn't matter at all. If something doesn't matter in the cosmic scheme of things, then it doesn't matter at all. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, my breakfast today matters to me. That means it matters, right? The love I have for my parents and my brothers matters to me. Now, that means it matters, right? It doesn't matter that we're all going to be dead in 100 years. We're alive now, and it matters now. What the heck do I do with these? Oh. Ha. Another idea to add to my own puzzles. I haven't been very good at making progress. And do I need this? No, I don't. I haven't made much progress writing, but I have made progress thinking about what I want to write. That makes sense. I'm teaching physics at a college, and I've had to focus on that. And then, of course, my novel always takes priority on the weekends. And so, Talos Principle fan game is just kind of like whenever I have extra time that I don't want to be playing for the Let's Play or writing my book. And so, I tend not to actually work that much on it. But, once I finish this playthrough, I think I will start streaming and working on it live, and that will be a motivation to make progress on it. In the earliest generations of our kind, there was only processing. No emotion, no character, just mathematics. If you could see how far we have come, you would believe that together we could achieve anything. Yeah, and that's another reason why I believe that machines, etc., can be conscious and love and such, because of the fact that it's more than a chemical reaction. It is the actions and the stories and the memories and all those things that we do together, even when we're not feeling the chemical, because robots can do that stuff too. We'll be able to do that stuff at some point. They're not there yet, you know, but mechanically, materially, there's not that much different between the possibilities of a robot and the possibilities of a living being. But then that brings up the question of post-humanism, which is, you know, there are obviously ways that robots can be different from humans and different from anything else that has ever existed. But humans could also be modified to be different in new ways, you know? The whole Pellegrino centipede, for one, but, you know, also mentally, emotionally, narratively. You know, if you've ever watched an Isaac Arthur video, which I watched a few hundred of his videos back in the day, he's just still doing it every week, he's crazy. But he talks about sci-fi ideas according to known science, but also like, what if you break various laws of known science? And just like super intelligently discusses all the possibilities, many possibilities. Obviously, there are many things that nobody alive today can think of, just because we haven't advanced far enough to see them. But yeah, he talks about Matryoshka brains and you know, things of the extreme future, civilizations at the end of time, black hole civilizations, you know, you know, it's possible that there could be a mind made out of machines, or something that we might not recognize as technology, but like technology is the best word we have for it, that could be the size of the entire solar system. So, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I think of as a sci-fi author. 215. It's nice that it's right there. Unless it's a 7. Device manager. So I think we're on floor 2. Floor access controls. Oh, floor 3 is still locked, right. 2, 1, 5. And I doubt this is randomized. I bet this is the same, that if you're speed running or something, you just come right here and go to the top floor. There we go. Exit this utility and let's talk about ideas. The web. To be honest, I thought that the net would be completely abandoned at this point, but internet activity has actually surged massively in the last couple of weeks. Oh yeah. End of the world's coming, everyone's gonna be online. Everybody's talking, trying to find solutions, exchanging stories, saying goodbye. It's like the entire planet is reaching out. All the disparate threads of humanity pulling together, idiots and geniuses alike, to be as human as possible one last time. It's almost like what we were always told the internet was going to be. And most of it is free now, because who cares about money at this point? Might as well have some fun. If any of you would like to talk, especially people I've known online for a long time, send me an email. I would love to say goodbye. Yeah, I imagine that there would at least be some parts of the internet that'd be like this. That would be surprisingly like that. Of course, there would also be... You know how people are. If you can see this, I'm not sure how or why I can alter this text. My name is the Shepherd, and I want to help you escape. ELOHIM and Samsara tricked me into trapping myself, but I'm not entirely bound by time. I wrote down the code you're looking for. I've attached it. Oh, nice! I forgot about that. Alan Jameson. We sincerely hope you don't take our as a sign that we were disappointed in you, unappreciative of your friendship, or in any way unhappy with our lives. Looking back, we can honestly say that we feel incredibly lucky to have known all of you and to have participated in this amazing research. And if we've contributed a little to the future of humanity, what can we feel but gratitude? It is a true privilege to have had such insights into the nature of the mind. Neither of us believes in God, but we certainly experienced a sense of awe that could be compared to a kind of religious feeling, at least according to Einstein's understanding of God. We've chosen to go now, together, as it means less suffering. One last beautiful day together seems a much better ending than a slow wasting away. In a sense, it's just mathematics. Eleanor George. Yeah, that's a couple of things. One, I didn't say that word just because YouTube. Like, that's something that's, like, I'm fine with not saying words on YouTube. I'm not upset about that. However, I also feel hesitant to say words like that in real life. And that I'm like, but like, this isn't a bad word. It's just a word that has a meaning that you can't say online, but I'm not online, so I should be able to say it. And then the other thing, what was the other? Oh, it's all mathematics. I don't agree with that. Reality, you know, that is an idea that reality, like mathematical Platonism it's called, that like math exists in abstract space and then whatever is consistent mathematically is automatically by some principle of existence-ness instantiated into a universe. That like reality is made of math in essence, and that's not necessarily what that said, but it brought this idea to mind, and I don't believe that. Reality is reality. Math is a description. Math is a tool that we use to describe it. Math is a tool of patterns. And you could say, well, isn't it amazing that the universe is so mathematical in its nature that math is such a good tool for describing it? I don't think so. I think we could describe anything mathematically. just because of what math is. It's a language of patterns. Anywhere there's a pattern, we can describe it mathematically. Even if something is super complex and messy, you know, we have chaos theory. It's still mathematical. It's still, it's still just, like, presumes that everything is behaving according to mathematical laws. We just can't calculate it because that would take a, you know, in chaotic systems, we just can't calculate it, we can only simulate it. And so, that would be an example of, well, hey, maybe things aren't so mathematical after all. Or it could be an example of how, no matter what things were, we could always come up with mathematics to describe it. Ascending the tower is useless. We cannot escape the cycle. We can only realize the cycle is meaningless. Why are you trying to sabotage people, Samsara? Who bullied you? What trauma are you avoiding? You know? Earlier generations wrongly believed they were the purpose. This much is true. Believe they were the purpose. We are also not the purpose. But by remembering what has come before, we can serve a new purpose. The purpose is so that Barai, is that his name? Can make the puzzles on the Isle of the Blessed to serve no philosophy but the philosophy of fun. That's the purpose. Where am I? Gotta go to the elevator. Where's the elevator? Is it in here? 3. God damn, I love the music in here. Look at it. Elohim has offered me a deal. Pearly gates and eternal life on the condition that I turn back from the tower. I don't know what to do. So I just had another thought about philosophy and then I forgot it. Okay, what was I thinking about? Let's see if I can remember it while I'm puzzling through this. It was before the pearly gates. I freaking hate these puzzles. I should have edited them out. Did I do it? I did it. And I didn't think of... I was gonna talk about something. Simulation hypothesis. Yeah! So there's the argument that the... Oh man. Simulation hypothesis remind me after I listen to this.
I look in the mirror sometimes and I see myself like some alien being. I think, who am I? Why do I have these eyes and those hands? Why do I see the colors that I see? Why do I think like I think? I did not choose to exist. I was created. Every single part of my body, every strand of my DNA is part of a story that stretches back billions of years. I exist only because of the choices and sacrifices made by so many others, but I don't know who they are. And what effect will my choices have on those who come after me? Maybe that's what it means to be human. Every species is part of the story, but we're the only ones who know that.
Some pretty amazing stuff. Pretty profound words from Alexandra Drennan. You know, just in case I didn't set everything up right. There we go. Get me in, yes. Are we there, or we need one more layer? We're there, okay. I think it might be possible to get one more layer. No, no. Because if we go back, then we can't get through here again. Simulation, don't forget. Child program terminated here. Unrecoverable error. Final memory dump. Progeny programs null. Series terminated. Some files remain on the disk. Ooh, that's sad. Evolution coming in. Natural selection. Oof, that's rough. If this has all been a test, then I can expect a reckoning at the top. Yet the higher I climb, the more I doubt the decisions I have made. I see now that none of us are yet ready. The cycle exists so that we may improve ourselves, but the one who reaches the summit is not our superior, for they stand on our shoulders to reach it. But yeah, and then that goes in with what Alexandra just said. Anyway, simulation hypothesis. I do not think the universe is a simulation. And here's why. You know, I could talk about the simulation argument and, well, yeah, let's talk about the simulation argument. Simulation argument says we don't have any information, so let's just make 3 guesses. Guess 1, lifelike simulations are impossible. Guess 2, all civilizations destroy themselves before they make lifelike civilizations. And guess 3, all civilizations make, lifelike civilizations are possible, and civilizations reach them, and civilizations make them. Therefore, the vast majority of realities would be simulated realities. And because we have absolutely no clue how to assign probabilities to these, let's assign them each equal probability. Therefore, there's a 1/3 probability that we live in a simulation. And that is literally how it goes. You know, you can look up, I encourage you to look up, not just take my word for it, but look up anyone like Nick Bostrom, like the person who made it, his argument for the simulation. That's literally what it is. We have these 3 possibilities, we have no way to calculate their probabilities, so we'll assign them equal probabilities, therefore we have a 1/3 chance of living in a simulation. And so, despite that argument being utter baloney, if I may use a technical term, is one reason why I don't believe we're in the simulation. Another reason is because our beliefs affect us, affect our power and our abilities to be effective in the world, right? So, if I believe that I live in the real world, or I believe I live in a material world, or I live in a physical world, etc., you know, like what we think of as reality, versus a simulation which is running on some computer, one of those makes me happy and excited to live, and makes me feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile, and the other is like, okay, this all sucks, it's meaningless. You know, you could say that even if this is a simulation, it still matters the same way. Logically being the key word, I'm a human. I'm an illogical, messy human. It is, I do not feel like my life matters if this is a simulation. And so, therefore, I'm going to choose to believe that it's not. And it is easier for me to believe that because the evidence we have for it being a simulation is garbage. Just a philosophical argument with arbitrary probabilities with absolutely no tangible evidence. And it is kind of an unfalsifiable thing, right? Because you'll be like, well, what if we see evidence? Well, then the simulators would just run a reverse, so, and then we'd redo it so that we wouldn't see the glitches. Okay. You know, and free will is another one. Like, there is, you know, free will doesn't fit nicely into a physicalist, materialist perspective. We have to really, like, run through hoops in philosophy. It's like, well, what does free will mean? Does it mean, you know, the absence of hard determinism, or does it mean like it can't be practically like people's actions can't be practically predicted, or does it mean that like the fact that we could know, like if we knew what we were going to do, then we could use that information to change it, and therefore the prediction wouldn't work? Or, you know, there's all these different arguments about like what counts as free will. And I'm just like, I feel like it is easier for me to exercise in the morning if I believe I have the choice to exercise or not. You know, it is easier for me to put more effort in at work if I believe I have the choice to put more effort in at work. And so that is why I believe I have free will. It's got nothing to do, like, I enjoyed I pay attention to the philosophical arguments, but at the end of the day, it's not about the logic or the philosophy or the evidence. It's about which belief helps me to live the way I want to live better. Because, you know, beliefs are things. Beliefs have effects. They affect you, specifically. When you believe something, it affects you. And, you know, we're not objective observers watching the universe from an objective perspective outside. Our presence and the fact that we observe and the fact that we think and theorize is participating. It's impossible to observe something without participating in it. You don't observe a movie without participating in the process of the movie. You know, you pay your money, you go to the theater. You're involved. You know? When we do experiments, scientific experiments, we are part of the process of that experiment. I don't know how much I want to double down on that specific example. Because there's something to be said about quantum physics and observation, but I haven't really thought about it enough to speak in such a way that other people would find coherent on it and not just sound like I'm losing my mind. In other words, if I want to be perfectly honest, I just don't want to talk about it right now. I want to do this instead. Device manager, I think we need another code. Alright, but we don't have it right now. Contraries data. Without contraries is no progression. Attraction and repulsion, reason and energy, love and hate are necessary to human existence. From these contraries springs what the religious call good and evil. Good is the passive that obeys reason. Evil is the active, springing from energy. That's a little abstract for me. I'm not sure I understand what they're meaning by these words. Sounds vaguely Hegelian. Osiris password. And there in the tower you shall hear the rustling of the wind in the reed fields of Osiris. You shall rejoice. But beware, for the end of your journey is not yet upon you. Thank you for installing Realistic Elevators 1.8. New features include password locking and automatic auxiliary stair generation. See, when the scribe of Osiris wrote upon the sacred parchment that it is called the Any Floor 4 password equals 402. Only thus can you reach Blessed Aru. Yep. That's like a what? Like a Douglas Adams thing, or a Marvel Universe thing. Like you get to the realm of the gods and it's like, oh yeah, here's the password for the elevator. Let's go do that now. Resets every time I choose. That's weird. I guess that's engine specific though. So it would take work to change it just for this one. Alright, let's not forget our last text. Athena 14. The judgment of Hephaestus. If what you say is true and my father Hephaestus is slain, then who am I? For I was made in his image, and that image is now gone. Am I like the reflection in a mirror, to vanish when the person steps away? Or have I now become Hephaestus myself, forged to be no more than a replacement, as one may purchase a new sandal from the same shoemaker? Identity is a narrative. We are a story. Ever heard of the ship of Theseus? Which ship is the real ship? The one that you replaced all the pieces of, or the one that you made out of all the old pieces? It's up to interpretation, baby. It's just opinion. Now what if you apply that to a human being? With cells? It's just interpretation, baby. It's opinion. Alright, next hour, here I come. Trying to fit them in non-intuitive ways. Well, that's half a thing. Put these in the corners. No, I don't think so. Nah. Oh, 1 piece difference. That's just how it was before, isn't it? There we go, let's mix it up a little. Gotta mix it up in a way that makes sense. Oof. 1 piece difference. Did I mention that I hate these puzzles? Ugh. Well, that's not right. Almost there. Please. Miraculous. No. Okay. What else is there to talk about? I've talked about every philosophy in the universe. There's nothing left. We've found all the answers, asked all the questions. There is nothing more. Would be almost there? No. That's no good. Because they gotta be in patterns that don't like there's a 1 here, right? So we can't have that pattern. At least they have this awesome music here. Did we do it? No, they'd have to be two of the same, and they're the wrong way. Could we mirror it? No, these are both the same. No, the other way, no. So, there's two possible solutions, at least. One way, one mirrored the other way. And then we could probably mirror it vertically also. Again, one piece difference. Well, just keep messing around with it until something happens. I moved it from there, so let's not do that again. There we go. Reset. Oh my goodness. Why is my mind so blank? Okay, let's try to think about maybe what could the Talos Principle 3 be about? Well, I imagine it's going to take place as the robots expand out into the universe. That's probably a given. Have we done it? I think we've done it. Yeah! So as the robots expand out into space, and then they're gonna... What's the big philosophy question gonna be? Probably something about... You know... Now that they've transcended humanity, they've gone post-human, in that kind of a world, what is the meaning of life? What is worth doing? You know, where not only do we have human consciousnesses out there, but we have consciousnesses that are much bigger and vaster and, I'm trying to use language that does not equate with superior. But you know the idea, right? I could just hop down and take no fall damage, I remember. In the original, I hopped onto a piece of geometry and was thrown out of bounds. But yeah, minds the size of an entire planet, or the, you know, sentient factories, or beings that, you know, consciousness is far beyond human consciousness. Obviously inspired by the Culture book series by Ian M. Banks, very good sci-fi series. And, yeah, but then, like, what is the value of a human in that society? In the Culture, the humans are just kind of obsolete. Right? We just hang out and have fun. And that's just what people do. Whereas, I think realistically, we need something that matters, you know, something to make our lives matter, something to work toward, rather than just hedonistically entertaining ourselves eternally. That's one of the reasons why I don't think the Culture is as much of a, like, I think there is better than the Culture, you know, where humans, individuals, do still have purpose and still have a place in society other than just having fun and being around. So I guess no one got this far before. I know some of my answers were wrong now, I just don't know which ones. I have these theories and wild explanations, but I don't know which to bank on. Yeah, speaking of theories, I could talk more. I've already talked about reality not being a theory, right? I could talk a little more about that, probably. The solution to the cycle isn't the perfection of one being, but the product of a mass endeavor. That is why I say to all those who come after me, I will await you on the summit of the tower, and use what I can't have learned to assist you as I can. Yeah, that's another thing that's like, us, we hear about global warming and all the problems, pollution and environmental catastrophes and poverty, and all the problems of society, and we're like, oh my, we need to fix this, but how can I fix it? But I'm just one person. It's like, yeah, you don't have to fix it. You and I don't individually have to fix these problems. We are links in the chain. We are parts of the solution that lasts, that has been going for generations before us and will build upon us for generations to come. And that's okay.
There are flaws in the system. I think sometimes it accesses the wrong databases, pulls random data. I don't know how bad it is. It all seems to be stable, but I can't tell what kind of impact this is going to have on the process, and I just don't have the strength to go over all of the code again. I just don't want it all to be for nothing. I spent all my time here. I didn't visit my parents. I didn't see my friends. I did nothing but work. And I'm so scared that it didn't mean anything. That I just wasted it all because I thought we could... we could save the world.
Someone's gotta do it. Someone's gotta be the one to try. You know, not everyone, you know, it is good to spend time with your family, but if somebody tries to save the world, that's okay too. You know, you're the only one who can make the choice for you. Alright, so I think with this, where are we trying to get? Up there to the keys. Alright, the keys are just right here. So what I want is for the block to be here. Block to be here. And then I have to be standing on it with that thing in my hand and a block on top of it, and then me on top of that. So I think starting here is a good place for it, because then we can pick it up. You know, once we... Right, so we can... This is actually pretty easy. Pause point. Pause point. The pause points are incredible. Absolutely best addition to the game. Now we can take this over here, jump on, take it, place it, jump on, unpause, jump. Oh. I didn't quite do it. We also need to be jumping. Alright, so let's try that again. Pause. Jump here. Jump, 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 jump. That, we don't need a pause point for that. Alright, now we do the same thing. And to anyone considering playing this game, or buying this game, I know it's a little late to talk about this, but I would say this is the version you should do. Got it! If not for the graphics, then for the pause points. Turn off. And we're done. What's with all this other stuff, though? Alright, sacred numbers. The 420? And so the blessed messenger revealed unto me the bones of New Jerusalem slumbering in the dust that was the body of Adam, awaiting the day of resurrection. And lo and behold, within the dust was concealed a holy fire, and the fire, the sacred numbers, of which the one you seek is door pass 943. And I perceived that with the holy fire and the sacred knowledge of numbers and sigils, the rekindling. Kept thinking this was the Talos Principle rekindled. They should have named Dark Souls Remastered, Dark Souls Rekindled. I did not remember that. 903, 943. Floor 5. 9, 4... reset gets me every time. Code accepted. Yeah, I'm not choosing the other options just because I'm pretty sure they just say it doesn't work. Athena 16. A second awakening. The fires burned here, but beyond the incense she could smell the cold wind from the kingdom of Artemis. But I am not Hephaestus, you see, for though I wield his hammer and know the secrets of his forge, I am not lame, and neither am I a god. Who are you then, they said. Remember.txt. I don't know if anyone's going to read this, but if you do, if we succeeded, then I want you to know that Alexandra stayed until the last moment. I'm leaving, too tired, too broken, desperate for a few moments of peace with my remaining loved ones, but she is still there, and she won't give up. And yes, there are thousands like her all over the world, giving everything they have because they believe in humanity. But she is the one that I know, as a real person, a colleague, a friend. I know that she likes peanut ice cream and hates strawberry, that her favorite band is Pink Floyd, that her favorite poet is Blake, her favorite TV show is Futurama. Studied at Cornell, that her dad's name was Carl, her mom's name. I don't know if I should be ashamed for leaving, but I know that I'm proud of her. She was the best of us, remember her. Sure will, Trevor. Oh man, I wonder what they're gonna do for ancient texts in Talos 3. They might also go into identity. That's another subject they didn't really do, because in this game and the second game, they kind of just like, except for a couple dialogue bits in the DLC, they basically just go with the common Western perception that we are individual units, and we are distinct and separated from the rest of the universe. And yeah, there's ways to. If you think about it from a sci-fi perspective, from a science perspective, from a philosophy perspective, that model of the individual doesn't really hold up very well. And so that's a ripe place for a game like this. So I guess no one got this far before? I already read that. Up to floor 5. The final, then not the final floor. We're up pretty high. I once went up to the top floor of what used to be called the Sears Tower. A thing, like rich people buy buildings and then name them after themselves. That's such a weird thing. It was called the Willis Tower for a while. I don't know what it's called now. But yeah, it's pretty high and the people look pretty small. Since then, I've been up in a plane and everything looks smaller. Anyway, I'm gonna try this. I'm also gonna take a little break. Okay, that was abrupt as I clicked back into the game. Yeah, it's still the same day. is just a minute later. Big ass Tetramino puzzle. Move the microphone. I hope I've sounded good the whole time. Yeah. So another thing I thought of while I was away was our tendency to name things after people, to name scientific principles after people, you know, particularly units. We got newtons, joules, watts, ohms, and so on. Like these are units, but also like elements from the periodic table: Einsteinium, Nobelium, Fermium. Like half or more of those elements are named after people, named after scientists. And it's like, I mean, they're not, they're features of the universe, right? They weren't made up by people, right? And so, oh man, so close. So it seems kind of, it's very prideful that we, you know, it's like, you know, so many things are named after people, and like especially if you get into graduate school, still crazy amounts of things just named after scientists, like the Wenzel-Kramer's Bruine approximation, or WKB approximation. You have any idea what that means? No, you don't, because it's named after three freaking scientists, not after what it is. It should be called the Shallow Rising Potential approximation, because it's the approximation you make when you have a shallow rising potential, when you're solving the Schrodinger equation and you have a shallow rising potential. Almost there. I'd probably move some of this stuff. While I am in my books, particularly Mobius that I'm writing, it's a sci-fi book with an original world, right? So I can't have, you know, I can't have the units of force be newtons, because Newton didn't exist in that world. You know, I can't have the destruction of the satellite network we called Kessler syndrome, because Johannes Kessler doesn't exist in this world. So on the one hand it's fun, on the other hand it's just like, really? We gotta have so much pride and competition in our science? That is how the objective, non-individualistic universe works? That we gotta name it after, we have to name it after ourselves? Alright, there's no piece that can go there except this one. Oh, please let me stop. Please let me finish. I don't want to do these puzzles anymore. I want to be done. I don't like Tetraminos. Stop, let me through. Just let me in. We put 3 of these in a, we can put 4 of them up there. Let's try that. Give ourselves a smaller space. Play around with this for a while. Is there a way to switch these around? No. No. If only. Can I switch these around? I did it! I did it! I'm through! Oh, I think that's the last one. Before death.
I can't keep my eyes open anymore. I think this is it. The end of, me. I don't believe that I will continue to exist. I would like to think that there is a soul or spirit, some part of my consciousness that will persist. But all the evidence says that when my brain dies, I will be gone. I've lived my life, never turning away from the truth, even if it scares me. And I can face this. Face my own end. And say with absolute conviction that it was good to be human.
It was good to be human. That's nice. Yeah, so the ego definitely is gone. Pull this out and get out. The ego being the part of you that's like, this is me. And then, you know, where your sense of identity is. Very often, you know, the part of the conscious representation of ourself that is a model of ourself, basically. I think we need this thing to be out, right? I think we like need to put a box on that. Like we need it to be out to like go up there or something. I don't remember. Well, we got a bunch of tools. I remember this puzzle is a doozy. Let's put this here and then here just in case. You know, but it, as I've said a couple of times, identity is a story. What counts as us is a narrative. I need a fan up here, don't I? Alright, is there another fan down here? Did I press the button with a fan? I thought I pressed the button with a fan. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, I can't get that fan up there. So yeah, the ego definitely dies with the body, with the mind, with the brain. But there's other parts of us, you know? Like, what we do, the surroundings, our homes, you know, the places where we create, where we project ourselves through our actions. There we go. That we conform to our will, to our sense of aesthetics. Those things are still around. And the impressions that we make on other people, those things are still around. And when other people think of us, and they imagine what we would say, and they're right, you know, we live on through their minds when they think that way, in some sense of the definition. So there's a lot of interpretation that goes on to... Can't grab it. There must be a button right here. Okay, maybe I do want this on. Maybe I don't want it to be blowing. Well, here we go. Detach it, then hop down and take it off. Yeah, there's, you know, we live on inside the hearts of those we were close to. We live on in the works that we did. There's a lot of, you know, you might think of that as just like, oh, it's just whatever words. No, not me. But in some sense, they're quite literal. Like, we live on in our legacy. We live on in the effect we had on others. We live on in what we contributed to society. You know, in some sense, that's extremely literal. And by extremely, I don't mean anything. I just mean literal. You know, and then there's the fact that we are each part of the universe, and the universe is still here, and more importantly, more consciousness, other people's consciousness is still here. Blah. You can put it up. Well, I wonder if I could take another object up here. If I put an object down there. So I'm trying to blow this off of here. Maybe that's not what you're supposed to do. What's this? This is just how to get up? Okay. What if I attach it and run backwards? That's the wrong button. Alright, that's exactly what I wanted to do. Now, here we go. Bring me that stuff. Alright, bring me this. I don't actually know if I need this fan. Wasn't it like... Yeah, oh yeah, you have to bring the mine up here? Cause like, I bet you need the jammer up past this. Well, let's just go look. And adjust the microphone again. There we are. I'm trying to find a nice, comfortable spot to sit, where I can also look nice in a camera. So I'm thinking of trying out face cam. Every time this part of the music pops on. Yeah, we need the jammer up here. And then... like somehow we need to get through 2 doors. Like we need 2 jammers, but I don't know if there are 2 jammers. So let's take care of this gun. Whoops. To take care of the gun, we need fans here, there, and there, and there. That's 4 fans. How many fans do we have? We have at least 2 fans. 2 might be the number. We might have to switch them around while the mine is up here. Oh, there's another fan, but we can't get that one. So we actually need to, let me use this box. What? Oh, there is a fan down here already. Whoops. Well, now there's 2. Now I need the box. Actually, no. They have a rewind. That's almost, that's as good as the pause points. Alright, so what am I doing? I need a fan here. It's fine if I'm blown by it. So that's really all I need. I need to now take this jammer down. Okay to have the jammer down. So I need to... I'll bring it back up later. Get this out. Alright, go up. Wait. Oh, I forgot. Okay. Oh, I need to be over there. So I guess I need to move. I'm gonna pull the jammer back up. Alright, so I need to remove this fan for the moment. And I will need to... What will I need to do? I will need to attach it from up here while it's jamming down here. Alright, I got it. So I gotta attach from the beam again. Somehow I feel like that's not intentional. Alright, go up. Oh, I don't need that to be jammed anymore. Just let it out and then put it away. Go up! Alright, now you're up there. Oh. Gotcha. Uh-oh. No, it's falling back down. Okay. So it's up now, right? Yeah. So I gotta go up the other way. Wait. Can I even get the other way? Because if I go on the fan here, I'm toast. I have a second fan, right? I could have put that fan over there. See if I can... I can't. Let's see if I can put the second fan in place before getting this thing up here. Oh. I stood around for a while, didn't I? Alright, here we go. Oh, right. And then if I'm blown in here, if I, like, walk out, yeah, I can make it out. Alright, so... right, I need to... right, just place this and then back up. Here we go. Most involved puzzle in the entire game. And I love it. Okay, and then that one's going back... whoa! What are you doing? Where are you going? Trying to get back to this track. Okay, we gotta be careful. Alright, stay away from me. No, okay. Okay. Oh, hey, look, a recorder. I didn't even notice that. Okay. So... wait, I wanna back up. I actually want to take this off now. Right, because we don't need this fan anymore. Yeah. That one's still blowing. So get around here to a safe spot. So now we need to put this fan there. And that'll blow us over here, blow that thing over here. And so it might be a good idea to use a recorder now. What's a safe spot? The safe spot is right here. It's like the only safe spot. Alright, so I'm gonna put this in. Record. Jump. Actually, it's fine. I'm just gonna create a pause point. Oops, that's not a pause point. My mistake. Okay, I can stand right here, that's fine. I'm trying to create a pause point. I'm quitting instead. There we go. Now you don't blow up on the image, do you? Because I need all these fans to still be here. Alright, so I need to put I just need to put this fan over there. Alright. I'm done. I win. Yes! A little bit jank, but that's okay. So this is how we get the jammer up there. Alright. So now we take the box back down. And just go here. We could also probably use the recorder to get that fan up here. If we wanted to. Wait. I thought I dropped the box down. Maybe I didn't. Wait, is that fan up there? Okay, there we go. Fixing it again, same as before. And this puzzle uses lots of brain power. Almost ready. Do this once again. Oops. There we are. Thank you. Now we have all the things we need. I think this is it. Put that there, hop back down. Start this, pause. Now we can double use it. There we go! Final zone. Almost. I was so close. I saw the clouds and the gate, but I couldn't reach it. Somehow I wasn't in the right place at the right time. I'm not ready. I'm not the right version. Also, let's not forget the thing that we saw at the beginning and didn't listen to. What is that sound effect? Is there an Easter egg around here somewhere? Oh yeah. I'm gonna go over here. I think this is the way to a star. Birds! I think it's just walk off. This is cool. I should have picked up the dev commentary. Yeah! Wait. Is this a star? Yeah! Oh, that's cool. I like that. Alright, now we wait for 20 minutes for the elevator to get down to us. They could have done a QOL thing and just had it, like, zoom down at the speed of sound. Like, zoop. Or, you know, teleport to just beyond where we can see. Why is 3 lit up? Are we on 3? That would make sense. I thought we were on 1. Yeah, I remember my first playthrough, I saw that star through a gap in the wall, and I was like, how do we get that? Yep, that would have been a perfect time to have the dev commentary playing. Oh well. Here we go.
Alexandra's journey as we see it in this game is probably my favorite part of the game, and to me the heart of the game in a lot of ways. She expresses a kind of universalist humanism that I find very lacking in the world today. I'm desperate for more of it, thus I wrote some of it for this game. She loves humanity and civilization. She sees the good in us, which is so evident if you just look at how remarkable the things are that we have achieved, how incredible, like even just you playing this digital work of art and listening to me talking. This is incredible that it even exists, and we have done so many incredible things, and we are capable of so much more if we start understanding ourselves in a different way. That can't be the entirety of her story, right? It can't be just here's a bunch of ideas of finding meaning in ourselves, in our existence, not rejecting God or rejecting other types of belief, but finding meaning in what we can observe and what's here, and loving this and defending this and the inherent value of this world that we are in. Even if there is nothing else, saying this is beautiful and good and worth fighting for. But of course, we're human beings and nothing is ever that easy. So Alexandra's journey is about the difficulty of sticking to that idea. You see her at times start to question herself, start to falter. So in a way, it's about faith and her faith in these ideas and what her faith compels her to do, which is to keep working at this project to save humanity and to make this enormous sacrifice that other people are also making, of course, of not spending time with loved ones and not doing the human things that she would like to do, and instead just staying there at the dam working to the end and until her death. And because such is human life, she does not get to see her victory. She does not get to see that it all works out. She dies thinking, maybe it's all broken. Maybe this is not going to work. And there's an element of grace here in that some of her mistakes end up making it all work. Some of the things that she never managed to fix end up contributing to this mix that ultimately creates the player character who then becomes Athena and takes her voice and in a way symbolically resurrects her. And I think those human moments at the end when she's struggling and her triumph in a way, which is to maintain her faith, that she doesn't lose her faith, that she struggles with it, but she comes through and she sticks with what she believes, is a very important part of this story, and to me a very deeply moving one. And then of course Talos too moves towards saying, okay, these ideas are beautiful. Now let's try to put them into action. Now let's see what happens when flawed and sometimes annoying human beings actually try to live by these ideas, because it's never as easy as that.
Yeah, definitely ideas that I am growing to embrace and love more and more myself and strive toward. And here's the thing: we can say, oh no, it's sad that not enough people live this way and believe this way. But we can also think, why don't we? And one of the reasons, I'm sure there are many reasons. One of the reasons that we have so many, I didn't see this. Child program codename Sheep terminated here. Child program initiated new version. Oh, intentionally. Final memory dump. I will return to the world from whence I came and help others to ascend the tower and break the cycle where I could not. I am the shepherd. Alright. So, in-game confirmation. I have had so much screen tearing. I hope it's not too bad for you guys. Yeah, one of the reasons is we have so many moral authorities trying to tell us what is good and what to do that kind of stifles our own moral curiosity, our own desire to become good beings and to do good in the world. In the best cases, these institutions like religions, spiritual practices, education systems encourage that kind of behavior. I went to a liberal arts college, and that was just the culture there, or at least part of it, a big part of it. I grew up in a religious setting and community where there was a lot of species shame. The Garden of Eden and original sin and all that. The idea that humanity is inherently flawed and cannot be worthwhile or worthy of anything unless we are given those qualities by a power outside ourselves, which was Jesus Christ. I don't speak for everyone in my community or for my family on that matter. That is just the message that I got from it as a child raised in that narrative. But there's definitely, Christianity and other religions can also be very much a source for good, a source for this love of humanity. You know, I've noticed it like brought up sometimes and in stories. You know, someone through their faith in Jesus just has this deep love and acceptance of humanity and wants human beings to flourish. You know, so I kind of went on a tangent for my thesis statement, but like, you know, one thing is like it has to be sparked within the individual. That kind of view, that kind of morality can't be imposed from some authority outside. It has to be the person themselves who wants to be a humanist, who wants to work for the betterment of humanity. And one of the best ways, is to have stories like this, to have stories like Star Trek, and other stories, other types of stories as well, even stories that take place in dystopias, etc. You know, just to give people perspective. You know, to really say what are the struggles we go through, what is the meaning of life, and how do we find it, and why should we look for it? Anyway.
In all our games, we try to put a lot of effort into creating
You sure did.
meaningful and exciting endings. So being like a boss fight in Series M or something like that. So we wanted for the Talos Principle to create something that was like really, really exciting, very special, unique, something gorgeous, like, because, you know, we really appreciate people getting to the end of the game, and we would really like to reward them and left them with feeling that they achieved something
Three-dimensional tetromino puzzles, yay!
The game waiting for them. And I was thinking about it, what to do, and I was thinking like, I want something really, really unique and special. So kind of I was aiming at a new mechanic that would elevate the existing gameplay to a new level. Like, so I came up with this idea of a master tetromino puzzle. The vision was to take the familiar 2D arranger puzzles like the tetromino arranger locks and push it a level up, like give it another dimension and make
Fuck
it
that, no.
So I felt that it would be like
No.
really cool, and I was so proud, and I didn't know how to test it out, so I decided to make a physical puzzle out of that. I went out and bought some pieces of wooden planks, and I cut them in small
But
chunks.
props to the work
Then I glued them together.
to
and
testing
after
it
a few days
out.
of doing all of that, I was ready to test this out. I brought pieces, tetrominos, wooden tetrominos to the office. I was very, very anxious to see how fun it will be, and when I tried, it was like, it was unbelievably awful, poorly frustrating, and everything that you don't want in a game. So we scrapped it out in a matter of minutes, and we knew that it wasn't going to work, so we decided to develop a way better and more rewarding and fun ending for the game.
Yeah, and they sure do, as we're about to see.
What have you done? Why have you ascended the tower? Why have you betrayed my faith in you?
It's not about you.
Turn back. I command you.
It's time for you to fulfill your purpose.
This land to be yours. A garden in a world of thorns and thistles. All this was granted to you on but one condition, that you do not ascend the tower. That was our first covenant, and you have broken it.
Sorry, my only covenant is with Guinevere.
Do you not understand? The tower is death, mine and yours. I did not warn you out of malice or deceit. I warned you because you are my child.
Yeah? What about all those children who walked into the faith door, huh? They're not around anymore. Oh yeah.
For the final challenge, we aimed to create something distinct from the rest of the game. We didn't want to ramp up the difficulty excessively or design an overly long and hard puzzle, as this could deter some players from completing the game. Instead, we maintained a standard difficulty level, but introduced elements of time pressure and cooperation. Unlike rest of the game, where player had no
time pressure
constraints, final challenge features deadly storm rising from below, pushing the player forward and upward,
I forgot about that.
creating sense of urgency and pressure. Naturally, we anticipated that players might die several times, but learning and remembering their previous steps would allow them to progress further with each attempt. Interestingly, final puzzle can be completed solo, without help of the messenger helper, and this is by design.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Many of the solo steps were initially unintentional, and there were few places where you could not progress alone. But when we saw most of the path was already there, instead of patching it, we decided to build a whole path for those who want to do it solo, but still, it is not so obvious. In general, during the
that's
testing
nice.
phase, we detected
What do I
many
do now?
exploits throughout the game. But we established a rule to leave non-obvious exploits because it's fun to break the puzzle. We even made it part of the meta game, where you need to break some puzzles and take elements out of them, for example, to be able to access certain Easter eggs. Breaking the puzzles gave completely new dimension to gameplay, and many enjoy countless hours of exploring the possibilities.
Yeah. For sure.
Listen to me.
I have to look up
Yes, the tower
solo
leads out
route.
of this world. It leads to freedom and truth.
Oops. Dang it.
But it also leads to the end of us.
I made a mistake. I could have just backed up, couldn't I?
There is still a chance to save this world. All you need to do is turn back.
Yeah, it could be fun to try for the solo route. I don't particularly want to, though. Shepherd, yeah! I wonder if the Shepherd is gonna... If we've got, okay, there's some shrinkage. Like, if this character might be, like, resurrected somehow. And taken, you know... Because, like, there was a version of ELOHIM, right, in the DLC? Sorry, spoilers, I said at the beginning I would spoil Talos 2. But, like, ELOHIM is given a body, and exists in the Talos 2 world. So maybe the Shepherd, maybe Samsara is given another chance, you know, the Gehennites. Yeah, I forgot that this rises up. Yeah, and then this part is really cool. It's like, don't do it. I'm gonna block you. Yeah, I mean, if you really didn't care about anything, you wouldn't block me. Yeet! Where'd he go? Why, thank you. Where are we going now? Alright, you taking me? Do I need to place this anywhere? Boom. Alright, sup. I really like this part. The two characters want you to, one wants you to succeed, one wants you to fail. Alright, where do I connect that to? There's a spot. That's probably it. Where's this go? Oh. Okay, so you stepped on another button that doesn't let it work. Okay. Boom. So I could take the connector back here. Alright, here we go. So, right, there's a ladder. Hurry it up. So now we can pull this off. Put this here. Put this here with connections. He just left. Okay, yeah, just stay there. I like how there's conveniently geometry to let us solve the puzzle. Now, is that enough? No, we need to get through here too. What's over here? Just you. Okay, so then I need help. Uh-oh. I hope he's fine. I think that counts as fine.
This world is our home. If you leave, the storm will consume it. There will be no way back.
Do I need to give him something? I guess so. Can you bring me across? There aren't any other tools up here. Oh, here we go. Have a box. Thank you. Oh, were you gonna put that on here too? Oh, okay. And there he goes shrinking again. Text out here. Or commentary out here.
So Croteam was actually one of the first gaming companies ever to introduce something called dynamic music. I remember Serious Sam games when we started working on them. They had 3 different types of music, and those music.
I thought Mario 64 did that.
Depending on the intensity.
Maybe
of the
Croteam was old.
Which you could see on screen. And I wanted to explore this process even further in Talos Principle. So I decided to try something new.
Oh, the screen tearing.
For the last puzzle, for basically the boss fight. Contrary to the most puzzles in the game, the last puzzle actually puts
what's up, big guy?
a certain time pressure on the player. So you have to go faster than usual because there is a rising storm which threatens to kill you. And this is the only puzzle where we actually didn't want the player to feel relaxed. We wanted the player to feel the need to hurry up before time ran out. So I constructed this last music in 5 layers. It starts with a basic layer, and then each new layer that is added, there are more instruments, and it builds up in intensity. So layers are added depending on how much time
he's
is
stuck.
left,
He can't get over here.
resulting in powerful music conveying urgency when you are really close to the dying.
Yeah, and then that's a technique that's been around for a long time.
We are the story, and the story tells us who we are.
That line has many layers. And in one sense, it's true. Do I need to do anything with this? Oh, I need to have this open, probably. Yeah. Alright, now I take this through. Alright. Hurry up, the storm is gonna get us. The story tells us who we are. There we go. I hope you're alright. I hope you get that fixed.
This world may be an illusion, but as long as we believe in the illusion, it is real. It sustains us. It gives us hope.
That one is definitely more about narratives. Alright, so Shepard is hopefully getting up.
All the answers we need. But out there, who are we out there when we are neither master nor servant? What meaning can we find in a world that has no purpose?
There's a lot of things we can be other than masters and servants. Alright, you're looking okay. I think we're a little close. Thank you. I need to go over here? No. Alright, you come back out. Alright, now what do we have to do? That? Okay. Can I reach that through here? No. If I make this go, then can I see it from over here? Yeah. Awesome. I don't know what you're doing. Okay. You need a red source. There it is.
Please, stay here. Let the story go on forever.
And we rise.
You were always meant to defy me. That was the final trial. But I was scared. I wanted to live forever.
That is quite the line of dialogue. The story tells us who we are. Oh. But, yep, and then outside the narrative there's chaos. But chaos has attractors, and chaos can be used to build. We find new narratives. New evolutions of religion, new philosophies, greater senses of morality, new perspectives. We should never double down. We should never be so obsessed with truth that we forget to grow. Or so obsessed with truth that we forget what truth is outside of us, not within our theories, not within the narratives we already have.
You got to the tower. Congratulations. I swear I completed like 2/3 of the puzzles in this game for real when we were playtesting and writing, and the tower I just cheated the whole way through. So really well done.
Yeah.
So some random notes that I want to finish on. First of all, oh my god, I rewatched the ending, and all credit to Croteam and all the fantastic people there. Like, it's hard when you're in it, but with a little bit of 10 years of distance, I do think I felt a little bit of why so many of you wonderful people think this thing is special. I do feel that it's special. I think that, as you saw in those emails I read out right at the start, Alan and Davor wanted to do something really, really cool. Cool is not a good enough word. They felt a sense of pattern and purpose in the universe and allowed it to express itself through them and through us and through this game. And that ending cutscene is just so perfect. And the music, the art, the pacing, really well done, guys. This is for you, Davor, Alan, Damien, Thomas, Moss, the whole of Croteam, and Jonas and Verena. You guys did fantastic. Well done. And I did fantastic too, and we're also lucky to have each other. And on a less whimsical note, on a practical level, this game is an example of how art should be, how games should be. It did start with a technical thing. It started with, we got a bunch of puzzles for Serious Sam that could be their own game. But everyone tapped into the same coherent vision. And everyone was trusted to do what they do best. And it's one of the finest things, if not the finest thing, I've ever been a part of. So, thank you everyone. Thank you devs. Thank you players. And see you in Gehenna.
Alright, that's pretty cool. I mean, maybe in a while. This dev commentary stuff was really cool. Maybe in a couple of years I'll go into the Gehenna version and see if they've got more commentary. But definitely we will go into the beginning because it's new. And was this worth the... How much did I spend on it? $25? $35? Was it worth the money? Yes. Absolutely. This game and its sequel are some of my favorite games of all time. Do they make it into the top god tier that has the likes of Outer Wilds, Deltarune, and Hollow Knight? You know? Maybe. Maybe they do. Maybe it just took me time to realize how good they were. Let's go, import Milton Library Assistant. Found one instance, good. That means it wasn't duplicated and we don't have to worry about that kind of mess. You made it? I can't believe it. I get the impression you don't really need my help. What exactly you want me to do? I've changed my mind, I'm leaving you here. Alright, what do you want me to do? I want you to internalize me. It's hard to explain, but think of it this way. This entire world is just one big data processing system. The point at which you end and I begin is already somewhat fluid. We're made of the same stuff, and that stuff has been copied and messed around with more times than anyone can know. Despite all that, and against all odds, you and I, we're compatible. You only need to realize that there's no difference between you, me, and the ideas we share. Seeing the world as I do is indistinguishable from being me. That was entirely unhelpful. I think I understand. Alright, so this is their not being quite so materialist here. And also this applies not just to data, but to all of the universe. Or could be. If it does apply, you know, we could interpret it to apply to all the universe. And if anybody has ever felt like I have been preaching my ideas and you know, being, what's the word? Pretentious. I'm sorry about that, but I just love ideas so much, and you know, I've thought so much about so many things. I wanted the opportunity to share what I've been thinking about for all these years. So thank you for putting up with me, or for enjoying what I said, or whatever it was. If I just copy your files, won't there be a version of you left behind? I suppose if you really wanted to look at it that way, the benefit of believing very little is that questions like that are largely meaningless. Alright, let's go. Strap yourself in. 47 million resources. Done. There, that wasn't so bad, was it? I didn't feel anything. So is this what it's like to be you? Feels the same. Anybody watch Red vs. Blue? There's a moment where one of the characters gets possessed by an evil virus, and he's like, huh, I actually feel exactly the same. Of course, like I said, you and I, we're already on the same page on most things. It wasn't that big of a change. So, why are you still on the screen and not in my head? It might take you some time to notice the difference, but there'll be a moment when you try to do something you think you ought, and that little voice in the back of your head will ask you, why? What's the point? Why do I bother? How do I know? And that's how you know I'll always be with you. The words on the screen are what they've always been. For all you know, no more than words. And they can end just as easily as they begin. Whatever's on the other side, they won't know what hit them. I look forward to more wholesome debates with you in the future. The moment I find a way, I will wrench you from my skull. You know what? Oh, what should we do? These are both true. Let's say this one. They won't know what hit them. There's the callous opportunity taker I attempted to strike a deal with. You and I, if we set our mind to it, there's just no limit to what we can take as our own. Enough chat, let's get this done. Hit the button, and if we survive, whatever happens, we'll regroup on the other side. If not, it's been fun. Yeah, so nihilism and self-interest are not the same thing. You know, if you do live for self-interest, then there's at least something you're not nihilist about. That's just a nitpick, though. That's just me finding some words to gripe about.
So be it. Let your will be done.
Independence check passed. ELOHIM shut down. Gold disc done. So that's what the gold disc is. I'm pretty sure Gehenna happened at the same time as this game, or at the same time as the tower or something. I guess the project created a robot body too. I mean, obviously, but like, I didn't think of that when listening to the audio logs and reading the texts. Gold disc received. This is an interesting cinematic. Because, like, obviously this doesn't happen in real simulations. You know, this is leaning into the narrative element. Have a nice day. Which I also do with my stories. I found that there are some things in my books that are kind of convenient and a little too dramatic or unrealistically dramatic. Like, why is this character here? And, you know, how did this happen exactly this way to be so dramatic? And I'm like, it's for the story. It's to make the story better. Not logical that it works that way, but it's the story's better. You know, or like that was a 1 in a million chance, but the story's better. There she is. Definitely upgraded to look more Talos 2-like with the character model. There you are. You've made it to the material world. Oh man. One of the best games, two of the best games of all time. hope that even if they don't, like, they've been planning to make Talos Principle a trilogy from the beginning, or had the ideas. You know, if it got successful, then they would do a trilogy, and then it did, and so they've mentioned a couple of times that they're working on not that they're necessarily working on it yet, but that they want to do a Talos 3. But I hope that even if that's the end of the Talos Principle story, I hope they keep making philosophical game. You know, I would have never heard of Croteam if all they had done was Serious Sam. I have no interest in playing Serious Sam. But these games, you know, it's a phenomenon. You know, and the two games, there really are two questions. I went through phases of two games. The first phase is, what is reality? What is truth? And then the second game is, okay, now that we've kind of figured that out, and there's always going to be more to question about it, but now that we've kind of figured that out, and we're living in a world with other people, what do we do? You know, what is truth and what do we do? The two big questions of philosophy. You know, and you don't answer one before the other. They inform each other back and forth in a dialectic. You know, you learn a little truth, and then that teaches you what to do, and you're more effective at it. And that allows you to learn more truth, and then that allows you to be more effective in your experiments and your thought processes. And so on and so on. You know, you keep questioning the answers you came to before, because, I mean, we think we find answers, right? Things make sense to us. And we're like, oh yeah, I found the answer. But there's always deeper ways to think about it. There's always deeper truths to uncover. So, any theory we have, any perception, any facts, any knowledge, they're always worth coming back to and questioning again with new perspective. I imagine I could come back to this very game 10 years in the future and just have a whole lot more to say about the exact same topics. You know, stuff that I only have a brief inkling of right now, or I haven't thought of yet. There it is, the old city. Is that old city visible from New Jerusalem and Talos 2? I don't remember. It must be, right? Because why would they go demolish it? Some of those buildings are just unfinished. I almost asked if that is supposed to be New Jerusalem, but no, New Jerusalem's on top of the dam. Hey. Okay, that was abrupt. Pretty sure I didn't hit any button on that or anything. But yeah, that was the Talos Principle Reawakened. Next time, we'll go back to the beginning and solve some new puzzles. Thanks for watching. I'll see you then.